Hi guys. Got a lot of people having struggles with FF3. It's lesson 2 of week 3's homework about triangles. So I'm just going to show you 3 problems, hopefully help some of you out who want to try to get it. Again, remember the time limits we have. Don't go for hours. We're at home. Try your best. Revisit it if this helps you, but we're not talking about working for hours on this stuff. So with triangles, the area of triangles, you've got to start off with this. The area formula is area equals 1/2 base times height. Okay, so base, we're thinking basement, height, we know up and down usually. So whenever you do this, you're looking for some kind of T or something like this. That way you can say I've got a base and a height. Or you could turn it sideways and say, oh, no, I want to use this as my base and this is my height. It doesn't matter, but we're looking for a 90-degree setup like that. So as you can see, we have that here. They even point that out. So our base, really simply, is this. That's our basement, in a way. And we can start to substitute that in. So I'll put a 6 in here for my base. Keep the 1/2. Right? Same 6, even though those look pretty similar. And then I've got the height is 8. So I'll put that in. All right, so a lot of people, and I used to do this too, you are used to doing math facts like this, 6 times 8, and you'd find 48, and then you're going to find half of that. I want to point out that half of something usually is half times something, and this is like the original way to think about it. 1/2 times 48 wholes. And when you do that, you'd go across the top and across the bottom, you get 48 over 2. And when you actually do 48 divided by 2, you'd end up getting 24. Okay, we want to start to look at this as a shortcut. When you see 1/2 times anything, we should be thinking that it's the same thing as divide by 2, right? You can just scroll this number over here. Like, these are shortcuts that you learn over time. And then you just go forward. What I like to do actually then is just, instead of doing this and then doing half, my technique, and I'd like you to start to try this, is I find half of one of the numbers right away, and then I'll multiply. Instead of going up to some big number and then coming back down, let's just stay small so that we end up at our answer. So what I mean by that is, let's just do this right now and say, well, what's half of 6? I think everybody in the world knows that half of 6 is 3. So now what do I have left? I did those. Half of 6 is 3, so what's left is this 8. And what do you do to those two still? You multiply them, and you get 24. That to me is the fastest way to do it. Really good shortcut for you guys. And yeah, I think that's it for this page. So I'm going to bump over now to a harder problem, and we're going to apply that right here. This is like a medium style problem. You still can clearly see, so let's write out our formula. Every time you want to write out your formula on a sheet of another paper. So what's our base? 13. Height, 12. Okay, so 13, 12. I know what I was going to say. I was going to say in that last sheet that the commutative property and the associative property meant that you can do these, if it's all multiplication, you can do them in any order. So if I want to do half of 8, I could say it's 4. Well, it's 4 times 6. It's still 24. Okay, you can multiply them in any order. Back here, sorry. All right, so 13 times 12. So instead of going up to do this thing like, oh, what's 13 times 12? I'm going to figure this out and do some higher, multiplication. Instead, let me find half of one of these numbers right away. Now, when I do that, I'm always looking for the even number if there is one. Like half of 12. How many of you guys know what that is? Everybody does. Half of 12 is 6. Now I'm left with 6 times 13, and that's going to be my final answer. So if I come off to the side and say what's 13 times 6, I've got an 8 and a 1 and a 78 here. So my area is going to equal 78 for this triangle. Okay, so still got the base and the height. And our last triangle example here is the hardest one. Okay, it's working backwards. It's tricking people because you see, again, write this formula out. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Now let's put in what they give us. You see they've got this letter here, but still put in what you know. So I'm going to say, all right, I know it's still 1/2. It's always going to be that. Okay. And then my base is V. I'll actually put a V in here. And then height, I do know that that's 14. Okay. And can't help but rewind. The reason this 1/2 base times height thing works is because if you had a rectangle with these dimensions, a 6 by 8, it would look like this, wouldn't it? And the area of that whole thing would be 48. But if we see, we only have a triangle, which happens to be exactly half of that. And that's where that 1/2 comes in. I hope you guys have seen that on that Khan Academy video. And that's why we cut it in half every time. So back here, I can say, well, what's half of 14? It's 7. And then I still have that V. So right now I'm at A, area equals 7V. Now you could be guessing here. You could say, well, what's 105 divided by 14? I don't really know, and stuff like that. But look, this is giving you two different variables. They're giving you the area. So we actually know, put it in, 105 equals 7V. So now this is like that algebra from 7.3, chapter 7.3, where we got to get the V by itself. Our first thing was train tracks with a bunch of X's. You remember that. So V is on this side with 7. It's the same as 7 times V, or V times 7. Inverse operations. So how do I get something that has a times 7? I got to do a divided by 7. And then it'll become like times 1, and it's the same number. So as my shorthand for that was always divided by 7, divided by 7. So this 7 sevenths becomes nothing. So now this side is left with V, which is your final thing you're after. I just need to do 105 divided by 7, and I'll have my solution. So I do it over here, 105 divided by 7, 7 into 1, no. 7 into 10, once, because 7 times 1 is 7, minus 3. Bring down 5, 7 into 35, perfectly 5 times, because 7 times 5 is 35. That's that. So here I'm getting 15, I'm getting V equals 15. If I put 15 back in here and I do 15 times 14 and then cut that in half, I guarantee I'll get 105. So in a way I could even think that is 14 times 15 210, because I doubled that, yeah. So 15 would go in here. So you're finding that base, and this is the way you do it. Hopefully that helps some people. Please reach out, and remember our time limit too. Like, nobody's working for 45 minutes on any of these IXLs.